Hello, it's Alex and welcome to Hey Little Thrifter. Today I'm doing the Nosy Booktuber Tag. This was created by John at Written in Blood and I was tagged by Dane over at Dane Reads. I will link both of their videos in the description below. There are 8 questions. Number 1 is how many books have you read this year? And I just had to count them up because it's not something I keep track of. But I've read 92 books this year so far, which is wild. I don't think I've ever read that many books before. I guess I should see if I can hit 100 by the end of the year. We will see. Question 2. Of the books you've read, which is your favourite and which is your least favourite? I've got a few favourites, but one of them, and it was actually the first book I read this year, was Bad Brains by Kathy Koja. This was a 5-star read for me. Her writing is amazing, and this one is about an artist who, after an accident, starts to suffer from seizures and visions, and he embarks on a road trip to try and find a cure. Yeah, it's just absolutely brilliant. And my least favourite was unfortunately Tamer Animals by Justin Woodward. This was the only book I've rated 1 star this year, and it's not often that I read something that I feel has absolutely no redeeming qualities to it, but this was just bad in so many ways. And it's funny because this has amazing reviews, so I went into it, you know, expecting to enjoy it, but it just really rubbed me the wrong way. Question 3. Do you have a favourite time and place that you like to read? I do try to read most evenings once I go to bed, but before I call it a night. Even if it ends up just being a couple of pages, it's just nice to kind of wind down with a bit of reading. And also I like to read on the bus on my commute to and from work. I used to work from home for the past few years, but a few months ago I changed jobs, so now I actually have like a physical location where I go to with physical people that I work with. I really like having that chunk of time on my bus journeys where I can just read. So yeah, I've definitely been getting more reading in because of that. And other than that, if I'm at home at the weekend and have some time to just sit in a comfy chair with a nice cup of tea and do a bit of reading, then yeah, that's always nice too. Question 4 is how many hours per day do you have the opportunity to read? I would say it's rarely into the hours type of time period, but like I say, I read on the bus, which is a good chunk of time, and then if I get a bit of reading in before bed too. Over the weekend it varies. Sometimes I might have the opportunity to sit down for a good while and get a good chunk of reading in. Other times I might not, barely read anything over the weekend. It just depends what time I have. So other than my bus journeys, there's no set schedule for my reading. So it's just as and when I have the time and inclination. Question 5. Do you read only physical books, ebooks or audiobooks, or a combination of either 3? I read a bit of all 3, but it is mostly physical books. That is my preference. I do read a handful of ebooks and then the occasional audiobook. Number 6. What is your main pet peeve when trying to read? Probably noise. It's not that it has to be complete silence for me to read, but I'm not the kind of person that can, have a TV or music on in the background while I'm reading. I just find that way too distracting and I can't concentrate on reading. I end up just like reading the same sentence over and over again. And another is when I'm reading an ebook on my Kindle, because I don't use it too frequently, I forget to charge it up. So yeah, there's definitely been times when I've gone to start a new book on my Kindle and found that it has no battery. Question number 7 is what is the strangest place you have found yourself reading? I honestly can't think of any strange places. They've all been fairly typical, I think, which is a very boring answer. And number 8 is, are you a critical reader or do you read just for enjoyment? I read primarily for enjoyment. That's how I pick up every book. I want to enjoy what I'm reading, but that does feed into a critical element of my reading as well, because I'm either enjoying it or I'm not enjoying it, and so I tend to think about those specific factors and why I might be enjoying it or not enjoying it. And since I've been on BookTube, I have really enjoyed kind of trying to formulate my thoughts and do reviews. So yeah, a bit of both, but primarily for enjoyment. So that was the Nosy Booktuber tag. I'm not going to tag anyone specifically because I've already seen quite a lot of people do this, but if you haven't done it and you would like to, then consider yourself tagged. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video.